Well, good luck on those programs. Great progress. And I'm kind of bookending this with stuff that I normally do up front. You know, these episodes usually sort of follow an arc of like, let's get to know Michael, and then let's get to know what excites him and what makes him tick, and then let's learn his pipeline. I'm going to ask you this question here towards the end, because whenever I look at my guests, educational backgrounds and career trajectories, I always pick out questions where I see interesting inflection points, or where questions or gaps remain. And when I look at yours, like going way back to your undergrad, psychology and economics, and then an MBA in international marketing, which the biotech leaders that I've interviewed come from every walk of life you can imagine. But this one in particular doesn't scream, this guy's destined for a career in biopharma and leading biotechs. So I just got to hear at least the short version of the story that got you into biotech, in biopharma, as it were, in the first place.
First of all, I'll acknowledge I'm definitely a unique individual. I get told that all the time, so I am not exactly your typical CEO pedigree or
Yeah.
background, etc. But look, it is interesting, and unlike my kids now who seem to be laser focused on what they want to do in their lives, I did a little more meandering in my career choice. In fact, my father was a lifetime research scientist, so I've been exposed to the pharmaceutical industry through my entire upbringing, and he was always very proud of what he had accomplished when he'd come home, and that was exciting for me to see that. I started to have a love for science, and I actually started my career or my college career wanting to be a doctor. That's
Hmm.
how I set it out. But this was in the '80s, and if you remember the culture in the '80s, there's greed is good. The greed of the '80s really kind of directed me towards finance and Wall Street and that kind of stuff. So
Sure.
I pursued that, did that for a couple of years, and frankly found that I was kind of missing, felt like I was missing something.
Hmm.
I missed the science. I felt like I could do more to feel good about what I did every day. When my example before, I would have just had I can make money or this would be good for my career. I didn't really have that patient as that focus to keep you going when you had bad days. So I went back to school really to follow my father's footsteps to go get my MBA and pursue a career in drug development. But I you know, recognize that drug development is not just science; it's also the business.
Mhm.
And so I felt like that I could bring that part of the equation to the table. I was very fortunate to have an opportunity to work in London while getting my MBA and at SmithKline Beecham and as an intern, and then was able to parlay that into a job at SmithKline Beecham coming out. And it was a very fortunate time. Jerry Carabellis had started this kind of innovative, if you will, very high profile management development program. We had two people in each class. The other guy was Ron Square, went on to run Array, sold that company to Pfizer for $11 billion. But he and I went through this program, spent about 5 years, and we got the opportunity, really privileged, to be rotated around to a variety of different things. I mean, got right out of business school, launching the product I mentioned earlier, working on flagship products, getting an opportunity to go out in the field, working on managed markets. The was all very exciting, and I'm very fortunate to have had a mentor like Jerry Carabellos to give me that opportunity, and then the rest is just history.
Yeah. Well, we're fortunate that's the path that you went down. I mean, you're doing great work, have done great work, continue to do great work. And I appreciate you coming on the show. I'm going to ask you to wrap things up with some advice for the guy or gal who's in the shoes you were in back in the early 90s, and maybe has some opportunity like you did to pursue a path in biotech, but isn't sure which path to pursue or how to pursue it. What advice would you offer?
Yeah, it's more common than you think, and I think people come into the industry. And one of the things, the beauty of being in a biotech is you get that exposure to a lot of different things. And we've given the opportunity for people in our organization who come in one role and then want to switch to another. So that I think is a great opportunity. But the key thing here is get as much out of all those experiences as you possibly can. Said another way, don't take any shortcuts. I see a lot of people who feel like they need to be progressing faster than they're progressing, and I think you can miss out on some great experiences, bringing things to conclusion. I mean, doing something for 6 months and then saying I checked that box is very different from actually, doing it for 2 years and having that complete experience. But I think I shared with you the lifelong friend who's now an executive coach, a guy named Gerald Mosley. He defined it as the 5 E's of life and career. So I actually gave him the fifth one. This one, teens are for excitement. So it doesn't really have a lot to do
Mm-hmm.
career, but it has to do with having fun throughout your life. 20s are for education, 30s are for experience, 40s are for equity, and 50s are for enjoyment. And if you play your cards right, you can follow that continuum. But I see lots of folks in their 30s saying, "Oh, I haven't made, millions of dollars. I haven't had the big win. I haven't, gotten a senior vice president title." Just take your time, get the experiences, build a foundation, and then you can stand on top of that foundation into your 50s and 60s and really enjoy it. I personally am 58. I'm having the time of my life. I'm really enjoying what we're doing. And, I think I can say that because I've had a lot of experiences. I'm not afraid of failure. Um, there's very few things, and I'm knocking on wood right now. There's very few things I haven't seen, but I'm sure there's more in store. So
Yeah.
stay tuned.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Some of the most transparent, genuine, and valuable insight I think that we've entertained on the business of biotech. I'm thankful you came on, Michael.
Thank you for having me.